Now, in the United States, after 1.5 years of disruption due to COVID, American colleges are ready to return to normalcy. There is, however, a catch. Many colleges across the country have declared that only vaccinated individuals will be allowed to enroll. India Today has learned that more than 360 both public and private colleges across the United States will require students to get a coronavirus vaccine, and experts expect more colleges will follow suit. They expect that almost every varsity in the United States will go ahead and announce a similar order. But for Indian students, this leads to a big question mark. They're all set to join these American colleges in fall. But because there's a shortage of jabs, a shortage of vaccines here in India, how will they get vaccinated? Following this mandate from US colleges, questions loom on whether the government now will ensure that these students who are to travel to the United States will get priority vaccination. And I want to take this across to students who are all set to be moving to the United States this fall and the kind of challenges they are facing. Kanishka Agarwal, a student, is joining us from Mumbai. We have Harjas Singh, who's joining us from Chandigarh, and finally Kabir Khurana, who's joining us from Mumbai. Kanishka, I want to start with you first. I can only imagine how difficult a time this is for you. This latest issue of vaccination has added another problem, I'm sure, in a whole list of them for you. Just tell us what kind of issues you're currently facing with regards to moving to the United States in a few months from now.
Well, definitely vaccine is one of them, because the three vaccinations which the school approves are Moderna, Pfizer and Johnson & Johnson. And at present, even after repeated conversations with them, they are still in consideration of the fact that the vaccines in India will actually be approved by colleges or not. Having said that, even if we do go ahead with getting vaccinated here, which seems to be the plausible idea so that, we're all safe, it's going to be difficult to get revaccinated in America, because you need those vaccinations to have full access to the university. Otherwise, there'll be weekly tests for sure, and we'll not be allowed to use the entire campus or have access to the classes which are full of, which are in full capacity of students. So that is something definitely to be worried about and something to think about and plan well in advance. And I hope that either one of the vaccines from the US gets approved to come to India.
So what you're telling me, Kanishka, is that you can't get Covishield and Covaxin. That's not approved by the university.
No, it's not approved at this point.
So what's the solution then? Has that been discussed? Kabir Khurana also is another student who's joining us on this. Kabir, what is the communication from the university so far? From what Kanishka is telling us, you can only get the vaccines that are approved in the United States. So keeping in mind that in India, it's two completely different vaccines, what is the communication from the varsity?
That's absolutely right. The only three vaccines that have been approved for students joining the varsity are Moderna, Pfizer, and Johnson & Johnson. Now that leaves very little possibility for us to be, get vaccinated here and then go there. Therefore, I frankly don't know what the way forward is. I think it's a very difficult scenario that students in India are in at this point. And therefore, I frankly don't know what the way forward is. I've sent emails to the college requesting them for more details and information. And I'm just hoping that they are more accommodating to students here than they already are.
Harjas Singh is also a student who will be joining in the fall semester. Harjas, there is another challenge, which is that there is a shortage of vaccines here in India. So even if, the US universities go ahead and give the nod for the vaccines here in India, is there a challenge in actually getting the jab before you move?
I feel there is. I live in Chandigarh, so I went to this local place where we get vaccinated, and about 3 months back, when the underage vaccine, under the 45 category people shouldn't have gotten the vaccine, at that point of time they offered me a vaccine, and about 2 weeks back when I went there, and they're like, sorry sir, we cannot give you the vaccine because it's out of stock. So I guess it's really worrisome to see that whether we'll be able to fly to US in time or not, because me myself, I deferred from US last year, and this year many of the other students cannot defer. So our admissions might get cancelled.
I can only imagine how many issues there are. Kanishka, in our conversation yesterday, you were telling me about how you don't know about what's the situation on the visa front. A lot of questions about whether travel will be allowed, because there's a lot of speculation that there's going to be a third COVID wave. And now this issue of vaccination also. Are you getting any help really from the authorities? Has there been an attempt to reach out to authorities here in India to address some of your issues?
Well, I have tried, not directly, but probably through an agent, and I keep continuously reading up what the US Embassy is tweeting about visas. As of now, what they say is that they don't know when they'll begin prioritizing student visas. They say that they will. Let's just hope that it's in time so that we can fly for the fall semester. Right now, the appointments which people are getting are not for the month of June. For example, if I say I want to fly on the 1st of August, the appointment I'm getting is probably November or February next year. So I don't know if that's the fault in the system right now in terms of in the software or however you book.
Yeah.
But right now there are no appointments which will give us the visa well in time, and we really hope that the embassy does something so that none of us actually have to compromise on losing a whole academic year.
Yeah, there was a communication from the embassy saying that all visa appointments are going to take time, even if it's an emergency appointment. Then what happens to all of these students then who are supposed to join for the fall semester? I also want to get a perspective from Arjun Yadav. He's a student in California's Chapman College. Arjun, what's the sentiment there? First, have you been vaccinated? And what's the sentiment on this order that, every student who's entering the campus should be inoculated?
Yeah, Akshita. So I was lucky enough to get vaccinated a few months ago. The current mood in the campus, the current regulations in place are that most of the classes are still very much online, almost 90 to 95%. And the few students who do have to access campus for their own reasons, they have to get themselves tested weekly. And they have to go through a mandatory screening at the entry points in order to gain access to the campus. Now, these guidelines are sort of in place only until the end of this month. Beginning June 1st, anyone who is fully vaccinated will be able to access campus unrestricted. But that is going to change with the fall semesters, as Kanishka and some of the other students were saying, where they haven't yet, and I think most of this colleges and universities in the US haven't really mandated having vaccines in order to participate in classes or join classes. They are also allowing certain religious and personal exemptions. So technically, as a student, if you don't have access to a vaccine, you can file a declination form saying that for these reasons, maybe not having enough access to the vaccines in my home country or not being privy to those conversations, I'm not able to gain that, then they will still allow you to enter and join the classes. And in order to, in fact, preserve your privacy, the other guidelines that are in place is that whether you're vaccinated or not, you still have to wear masks inside the campus.
Yeah, that's understandable.
So that helps.
But you're telling us that at this point helps. There's weekly testing happening also once you're back in person in college. So is the mood on the ground that people are welcoming this kind of a mandate about vaccinating every student?
Yes. Bulk of, and I think this would differ based on which state these universities really are in and what the culture or the milieu is. But California is considered highly progressive. So in fact, more than 50%, I think the population has already received their first dose. And the Chapman's information is already listed on the website that almost 70% of their students have already vaccinated themselves. So I think students have no qualms or issues at all about getting vaccinated. There is absolutely no scarcity of vaccines in the US at all. I think it's only a matter of religious or personal beliefs that might prevent certain students to get themselves vaccinated. But otherwise, I think with the fall semester in sight, they have plenty of time to get everyone on board with the plan of getting everyone vaccinated.
Yeah, Kabir, when I was speaking to Harjas, he did say that he's already deferred, so that because of that in fall he has to join. Is that something you're looking at now, keeping in mind, how difficult and the kind of challenges you're facing? Is the only solution in going ahead and pushing the admission?
Well, I am trying my best to get the vaccine before I leave. So I have spoken to a few people. I am trying to pull some strings and get the vaccine so that I can go in time. This is because I've already taken a gap year after my graduation, after my undergraduation last year, and I don't want to waste another academic year before I leave. Which is why I'm trying to push. It is definitely a stressful time, a stressful situation that we're all in, and I'm trying my level best to leave this year itself.
Okay, Harjas, has there been any communication from the university? We know that some of them are saying that you can come to America if you're in a country where there's a shortage or some crisis, that you can come to America and get vaccinated. Has there been any such communication with you? And is that something then that changes your plans completely to, go ahead, get vaccinated, ensure you finish that gap, get the second jab and whatnot?
I have not been communicated with the university on any such topic like this, but I would surely I'll be very happy if the university comes out and helps the students with the vaccination, because I feel in a situation like this, everyone should come and help out, especially universities, because students are gonna stuck in their home countries and might not even be able to fly just because of they're not vaccinated fully. And the situation, what the current situation in India is, I feel it's really going to be difficult as the time goes ahead to get fully vaccinated.
No, but Kabir, is there an option then for an online course for students who are, from countries where there's a problem with vaccinating, when you have a different vaccine and United States has a different vaccine which they've approved? Is there the option then of skipping in-person attendance and then going ahead with your online course in time?
So as per their website, which is cusafelyback.chapman.edu, in quotes, it says that Chapman is planning to return to in-person instruction for fall semester with no options for virtual learning, aside from limited courses that had online components in place prior to the pandemic. So there will be no online option for students who are unable to fly for whatever reasons. It is returning to 100% full instruction is what the website says. So that makes it even more difficult for students who will not get the vaccination, who will not be able to go due to lack of vaccines here in India. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it is definitely it is definitely a stressful time. It is definitely a difficult situation that we're all in.
What do you think? What do you think needs to be done? A lot of questions about whether the government should step in here, the Indian government, because you were telling me that you've been struggling to really get your hands on a slot for the vaccine. Do you think that the government should step in and ensure priority vaccination for students who have to go to the United States? Do you see that as a solution?
Yes, definitely. I think the government should step in at this point. I think the government should even it's not just the vaccination that's an issue. Even the visa, getting an expedited visa is an issue at this point. So the government should step in and ensure that students are prioritized in vaccination along with the people with comorbidities and people who are over 45 years of age. So students should be included in that category as well. And I also think that even in terms of the visa, students should be prioritized.
That's right. I also want to focus on that, on how you're facing so many issues, Harjas, visa front, on flights also, because there's no clarity now on whether there's going to be normalcy in flight operations, also with regards to all of the speculation of a third COVID wave in India.
So about the visa, I personally am thankful to God that I got my visa appointment for the next month, but a lot of students are not able to even get the appointment as early as they're able to get the appointment as early as like January or Feb next year. So it's really complicated, and the flights are open. They're open to travel after 1st August. The students who will be joining their respected colleges after 1st of August, they can travel if they have the visa. But again, we are not able to get the dates for the visa itself at the first scenario. And the vaccine is only possible if we get the visa first. So it's really complicated, and we actually are scared. We do not know what to do at this point of time.
No, there are so many issues here, and especially with colleges in the United States coming out with this. Arjun, we know that almost every university in the United States has a huge population, not just Indian, but from different countries. So how can something like this be practical when they're saying that only the approved vaccines from the United States will be given the go-ahead?
Akshita, what we need to understand is that the vaccines that are being administered to the population here in the U.S., they haven't yet been FDA approved. They are emergency use FDA approved. So some of the colleges who have mandated the use of vaccine, they are predicating it on the idea that by August, most of these vaccines would be FDA authorized. Now, to alleviate some of the concerns that my fellow students have, I think one of the ideas would be to file that personal declination with their respective universities. And what I can say with huge confidence is that once they are here, I don't think they'll have much trouble getting vaccines. I know for sure that Chapman is planning to have their own supplies of vaccines, specially reserved for the healthcare center for the students to have access to those. But even if certain universities don't provide for that, just because the infrastructure in place is so robust, they could be in this country tomorrow, like yesterday, and they would get their vaccines in the next day or day after. Like, that's how efficient the whole process is. And like likewise for me, like I'm here on a visa, but when I went to get my vaccine administered, the only question that was asked of me was what was my date of birth. That's it. Not even an ID, even though I was carrying all of it, but it was no questions asked, just please get yourself vaccinated. I think that's kind of the overarching policy that the United States has been adopting at this point.
Kanishka is back with us. Kanishka, we briefly lost you there. But do you think,
yes,
and you know, like Arjun said, do you think then that the only solution for you is to go a little ahead before the fall semester and get vaccinated in the United States, keeping in mind all the challenges you're facing here to be vaccinated?
Well, that's what seems to be the ideal situation right now, because like Arjun said, they have reserved, and that's the email that even we've got, that's communication we've got from the university, that they have reserved some vaccinations, or they will be, and they'll make sure that everybody on campus will definitely get vaccinated. The only issue I feel with that is that we will lose out on complete access to the university for at least a month and a half till we get the second dose. Because they are very sure that only once the students are completely vaccinated, which is they've completed both the doses, will they be allowed full access to the university. So let's hope that that gets done as soon as we can manage.
Is there a possibility, and this of course is a big question mark because of the fact that you're all facing visa issues also, has the university agreed that you can go a little ahead of time before the semester, get yourself inoculated, get yourself vaccinated, so that everything when the semester begins is perfectly smooth?
Well, there isn't anything specifically which is conveyed to us. According to the visa rules, we can travel 30 days in advance. That is in case we get the visa well in time. But nothing of that sort has been communicated at this point.
Okay. Before I wrap this up also, Harjas, if I can come across to you, you're saying that, you've already deferred going for your course by 1 year. And for you, of course, there's little option left but to ensure you're there for the fall semester. You're saying you have your visa appointment as well. But with this whole now vaccination issue and this challenge coming in, how do you think that authorities must help students like you? And there are so many like you who are struggling right now.
There are a lot of students like me who are suffering. I think the authorities should actually push for the vaccination even further, not just for the students, for all those people who have to travel or will travel in an emergency or in any other situation. I feel it's their duty to make sure that every person who gets out of India is vaccinated. The government should step in and open certain centers in, Delhi or certain hotspots where people can come, students like us can come and get vaccinated. That'll be really helpful at the first part.
And what about you, Kabir? What do you believe is the solution to all of the issues and challenges that you're facing? Because there's literally nowhere or nobody you can turn to right now for help, whether it's the embassy, the authorities here, or the universities in America. They can only offer you a limited amount of help and assistance.
Right. Just as Harjas says, I think the solution here is that walk-in vaccination centers and vaccination drives, especially for students. And I think another solution is to have students included in the category of people with comorbidities and 45 plus who are currently getting priority. So I think that is prima facie the solution for students to ensure that students get to go abroad this year.
All right. Kabir, Harjas, Kanishka, thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to Arjun as well. What you heard from these students, this is the plight of so many out there who are traveling abroad for their education and are left stranded. They have no way of knowing exactly how to sort out their issues. And with many colleges and varsities in the United States saying that you need to be vaccinated before you enter the campus, there's a big question mark on how that's possible when there is such a shortage. There's a crippling shortage of vaccines in India currently. And this is something that must be addressed to help all of these students out there. With that, it's a wrap on this special broadcast. Remember that for all the top headlines of the day, you can log on to our website, indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app. That's it from me. Thank you for watching.
Keep watching India